Ambassador Lee Minho walked into the huge crystal room where the Galactic Council met. The walls sparkled with strange lights from many different alien species. Each species ruled big parts of space and had been making decisions for thousands of years. Behind Minho came his team, Park Jizu who helped with talks, Kim Hanna who knew about trade, and Colonel Choi Daeho who kept them safe. The council had called humans to come talk about trade deals. But really, they wanted to make humans work for them like servants. They wanted Earth and all human colonies to depend on alien help and never become strong. A big alien with 4 arms stood up. His name was Prime Counselor Vexthara and he ruled a huge empire called the Hegemony. He waved his arms at the humans like they were not important. "Oh look, the new species is here. How cute. I hope you brought good offers to join our civilized galaxy." Minho smiled and bowed to show respect. "Great Counselor, we want to make deals that help everyone." Another alien that looked like a giant lizard made a hissing sound that meant he was laughing. This was Trade Minister Korthol. "Help everyone? You do not understand where you stand, little furry creatures. You give us materials and work for us. We give you wisdom to help your simple people grow up." Park Jizu stopped writing for just a moment when she heard this, but then kept taking notes. Kim Hanna still looked professional, but her fingers tapped once on her folder. She was getting annoyed. Colonel Choi Daeho did not move at all. His hands stayed behind his back. But his eyes watched everything like a soldier who had fought in many wars. He saw every door, every guard, every weapon in the room. Minho's smile stayed on his face. "Of course, Counselor. We want to learn from our space neighbors." The other aliens in the room looked happy. They thought humans were weak and stupid. A blue alien with tentacles for arms whispered to his friend, "These mammals will be easy to control." An alien made of living rock nodded. "Yes, they bow and smile like pet animals. Very good servants they will make." Vexthara sat back in his floating chair. "Excellent. Now let us discuss what you will give us. We need workers for our mining planets. Your people are small and can fit in tight spaces." "And your food," added Korthol. "We hear human crops taste good. You will send us most of your harvest every year." Kim Hanna wrote down numbers on her tablet. The aliens wanted almost everything humans made. They would give back very little. It was not fair at all. "We also need soldiers," said Defense Coordinator Zalmoth, whose body looked like it was made of sharp crystals. "Your species breeds fast. You can fight our wars for us." Park Jizu's pen pressed harder on her tablet. These aliens wanted to use humans like tools. They wanted human farmers, human workers, human fighters, but they did not want to give humans anything good back. Minho kept smiling. "These are interesting ideas. Can we talk about what humans would get in return?" The aliens looked at each other and made sounds like they were laughing. "In return?" Vexthara's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "You get to live. You get our protection. You get to learn from species that have ruled space since before your son was born." "Very generous we are," Korthol hissed. "Other new species get nothing. But we like mammals. You remind us of our pets." Colonel Choi's jaw moved just a tiny bit. If someone knew him well, they would see he was getting angry. But he stayed still and quiet. The meeting went on for hours. Every alien said worse things about humans. They called humans stupid, weak, and lucky to even be noticed by great space empires. They wanted humans to give up their freedom and work like slaves. Through it all, Minho stayed polite. He nodded and smiled and said thank you for sharing your thoughts when aliens insulted his people. Park Jizu kept writing everything down. Kim Hanna kept calculating how unfair the deals were. But something was changing. Minho's smile became more careful. His words became shorter. His hands, which had moved naturally when he talked, now stayed very still. The aliens did not notice. They were too busy feeling proud of themselves. They thought they had found easy victims who would do whatever they were told. Cultural Minister Yulpera, who looked like a giant butterfly, flapped her wings. "Human emotions make you weak. You care too much about individual lives. This makes you bad at ruling. We will teach you to be more practical." "Yes," agreed Economic Advisor Felnix, whose head was like a big brain in a glass bowl. "You must learn that some people matter more than others. We matter more than you. Accept this truth." Park Jizu sent a quick message to Earth on her hidden device. Back home, people were watching these talks on secret cameras. The reactions were not good. Humans everywhere were getting very angry at how their ambassadors were being treated. Colonel Choi noticed that his team was getting tense too. The other human guards in the room looked calm, but they were really watching every alien guard and weapon. They were ready for trouble. As the day ended, Vexthara stood up again. Tomorrow we will sign the agreements. You will go back to Earth and tell your leaders that humans now serve the Galactic Council. This is a great honor for such a young species. Ambassador Lee Minho bowed one more time. Thank you, Counselor. Tomorrow will certainly be memorable. But his eyes had changed. The warmth was gone. Something cold and dangerous had taken its place. 3 days had passed since the talks began. Every day was the same. The aliens would say mean things about humans while pretending to be polite. They talked over the human team like they were not important. They ignored everything humans said and kept making worse and worse deals. Defense Coordinator Zalmoth looked like he was made of sharp glass. His body caught the light and threw it around the room in bright flashes. He made a nasty smile at the humans. Your army is so weak it makes me laugh. You only live on one star system and use old weapons that shoot metal bullets. How do you keep peace in your own space? Ambassador Lee Minho nodded like he was thinking hard. We do our best, Coordinator. Maybe we can make deals where we help protect each other? Trade Minister Korthal stuck out his long split tongue like a snake tasting the air. This meant he thought something was very funny. Protection deals? What could you weak humans give us? You have maybe a few thousand small ships? Some space stations? My hegemony has 3 million warships. Kim Hannah looked up from the numbers she was writing. That is, a very big fleet, Minister. She spoke in her work voice, but she looked quickly at Park Jizu. Both women were thinking the same thing. The meetings kept going and the aliens got meaner. Cultural helper Mordun said humans were too emotional to rule anything properly. Economic advisor Falnix wanted Earth to send away almost all its food to get just basic building plans from the aliens. Minho stayed calm through all of this, but people who knew him well would see small changes. He used fewer words when he talked. His smile looked more fake. His hands, which used to move around when he spoke, now stayed very still and controlled. Colonel Choi's mouth got tighter every hour. His security team had been called just for show by the council, but they were really doing soldier work. They looked at all the ways out of the room, where the alien guard stood, and where the building was weak. They did this quietly like the professional fighters they were. Park Jizu sent more and more messages back to Earth. Each one was more worried than the last. On the second day, military advisor Krextal made fun of human weapons. You still use explosives and metal bullets? We stopped using those toys 1,000 years ago. Our plasma cannons can melt your biggest ships like ice in a fire. And your factories, laughed Industrial Coordinator Vashti, whose body looked like a giant worm with arms. So slow and small. We can build more in one day than you make in a whole year. Kim Hannah wrote down more unfair numbers. The aliens wanted humans to give up their best planets for mining. They wanted human children to work in alien factories. They wanted human scientists to share all their knowledge but get nothing back. Your people live such short lives, said biology specialist Nexara, who had tentacles instead of a face. Barely 100 of your years. We live for thousands. This makes us wiser. You should listen to us about everything. Minho kept his polite voice. We respect your experience, specialist. Humans have much to learn. But his team was getting more upset. Park Jizu's fingers hit her tablet keys harder when she typed. Kim Hannah's professional smile became thinner. The other human helpers in the room shifted in their chairs like they wanted to leave. Colonel Choi watched his soldiers make mental maps of the whole council building. They counted alien weapons and guards. They timed how long it took security to respond to small problems. They did this because it was their job to protect the human team, but the aliens thought they were just standing around looking nice. By the third day, the insults got worse. Trade Minister Korthal called humans barely civilized apes who learned to use fire. Defense Coordinator Zalmoth said human soldiers were weak children playing with sticks. Your democracy is chaos, declared political advisor Quilvex, whose head was shaped like a triangle. Too many opinions, too much arguing. You need kings like us to tell you what to do. Your art is primitive, added Cultural Minister Yulpera, flapping her butterfly wings. Your music hurts our ears. Your books are too simple. We will teach you proper culture. Each alien tried to top the others with bigger insults. They competed to see who could say the meanest things about humanity. Through it all, Ambassador Lee Minho kept responding politely. Thank you for the feedback. We appreciate your perspective. That is valuable input. But the changes in him were getting bigger. His voice became flatter. His movements became more precise, like a machine. His smile looked painted on his face. Park Jizu's secret messages to Earth were now marked urgent. The government back home was reading reports of every insult, every unfair demand, every way the aliens treated their ambassadors like dirt. Kim Hanna's calculations showed that the alien deal would destroy human civilization. They wanted so much from Earth that people would starve. They offered so little back that humans would become beggars in their own space. Colonel Choi felt his soldiers getting ready for trouble. They stayed calm on the outside, but inside they were angry. They had fought wars to protect human freedom. Now they had to watch aliens try to take that freedom away with papers and fake smiles. The worst part was how happy the aliens looked. They enjoyed insulting humans. They thought it was fun to make the primitive mammals bow and scrape. They had no idea what was building up inside the polite human diplomats sitting across from them. The fourth morning started with terrible news. Messages came flooding in from the Kepler 442 colony where humans grew food on farming planets. Space pirates had attacked the peaceful settlements. They destroyed homes, farms, and schools. Hundreds of people were dead. Whole families had been killed in the outer farming areas where children played and parents worked the land. Trade Minister Korthal had gotten the same news reports. When the meeting started, his cold reptilian eyes looked at the human team with clear enjoyment. He was happy about the bad news. I am sure you heard about your colony's problems. Korthal spoke in a fake caring voice that was really mean. Maybe if you had accepted our protection sooner, those farmers would still be alive and breathing. The whole room went quiet. No one made any sound. Ambassador Lee Minho put down his writing pen very slowly and carefully on the table. I am sorry, could you say that again? Minho's voice stayed perfectly calm and even. Korthal thought Minho's calmness meant he was weak and scared. The lizard alien leaned closer to the humans. Your special colonists are dead because you are too simple to protect them. Little children burned to nothing because you would not accept that we are better than you. How many more humans will die because you are too proud to obey us? Park Jizu stopped typing on her tablet completely. Her fingers froze over the keys. Kim Hanna's hands went totally still on her papers. Colonel Choi and his security team moved just a tiny bit, but their relaxed poses changed into something much more dangerous. They looked like hunting animals getting ready to attack. The change in Ambassador Lee Minho was small but everyone could see it. His diplomatic smile disappeared from his face like ice forming backwards, leaving something cold and hard behind. His brown eyes, which had looked warm and friendly for days, now looked like deep winter water that could freeze you. When he spoke again, his voice was the kind of quiet that comes before mountains fall down. Minister Korthal, I want to be completely sure I understand what you are saying. You think that the deaths of human civilians, including children, is funny to you. The air in the room felt like it got much colder. All the other aliens in the council chamber started to feel uncomfortable. Something had changed in the humans, but they did not understand what it was. Prime Councillor Vexthara waved two of his forearms. Now, Minister Korthal was simply pointing out that better security arrangements might have prevented this unfortunate incident. But Korthal was enjoying himself too much to stop. He thought the humans were finally breaking and would give up. Yes, unfortunate. Very sad when primitive species cannot protect their own babies. Perhaps next time you will listen to your superiors before more human children become space dust. The other aliens in the room started looking worried. Defense Coordinator Zalmotha's crystal body stopped glowing so brightly. Cultural Minister Yulpara folded her butterfly wings closer to her body. But Korthal kept talking. I wonder how many more colonies will burn before you learn your place? How many more human mothers will cry over dead babies before you accept that we know better? Kim Hanna's pen snapped in her hand. The small breaking sound was very loud in the quiet room. Park Jizu had stopped breathing normally. Her chest moved up and down too fast. Colonel Choi's hands, which had been behind his back, slowly moved to his sides. His security team did the same thing. They looked like they were getting ready for a fight. Ambassador Lee Minho stood up very slowly. Every movement was controlled and precise like a machine. His face showed no emotion at all, which was somehow more scary than if he had been angry. Minister, Minho said in a voice that was quieter than a whisper but everyone could hear it perfectly. Are you telling me that you think the murder of human families, including small children, is something to joke about? The room got so quiet you could hear people's hearts beating. Korthal finally started to understand that something was wrong, but he had gone too far to stop. I think weak species that cannot protect themselves should not complain when stronger species point out their failures. That was when something inside Ambassador Lee Minho completely changed. The polite diplomat who had smiled and bowed for 3 days was gone. In his place stood something much more dangerous. His voice, when he spoke again, was like ice breaking.
I see.
Thank you for making your position so clear, Minister Corthal. Prime Councillor Vexthara tried to calm things down. Perhaps we should take a short break to let emotions settle. But Minho was not emotional at all. That was what made it so frightening. He was perfectly calm and controlled as he looked around the room at each alien council member. No break needed, Councillor. I think it is time we had a completely honest discussion about the real situation here. Park Jizu closed her tablet and put it away. Kim Hannah gathered up all her papers and stacked them neatly. Colonel Choi stepped forward just one small step, but it felt like he had moved much closer. The diplomatic phase of the negotiations was over. Everyone in the room could feel it, even if they did not understand what came next. Something cold and final had entered the chamber, and it was wearing Ambassador Lee Minho's face. Ambassador Lee Minho stood up very slowly. Every move he made was careful and exact. The friendly mask he had worn for days was completely gone. In its place was something that made several alien council members step back without thinking. Let me tell you some things that I have been politely not mentioning in our talks, Minho said. His voice was clear and carried to every corner of the room. The Terra Defense Force has 847,000 warships ready to fight right now. We can build 50,000 more ships every month. Our simple metal bullet weapons can shoot at 15% of light speed and carry antimatter bombs as powerful as exploding stars. Park Jizu opened a new file on her tablet. Her fingers moved like a machine as she started reading secret military information that had been hidden until now. Earth makes more things in our factories than the entire Vrex consortium combined, 12 times more, she said in a flat voice. Our few thousand space platforms include 17 Kasaba howitzer defense stations. Each one can break moons into pieces. Prime Councillor Vexthara's forearms went stiff with shock. This cannot be true. Our spy report said. Your spy reports show exactly what we wanted them to show, Colonel Choi spoke for the first time since the meetings began. His voice had the power of someone who was used to being obeyed immediately. Did you really think we would tell potential enemies our real strength? The aliens looked around at each other with growing fear. They had been completely wrong about humans. Kim Hannah looked up from her number sheets with a smile that had no kindness in it at all. About money and trade, humanity controls 7% of all rare metal deposits that everyone knows about, 32% of all food-growing worlds, and as of 6 months ago, the main space highways between the outer rim and core systems. She paused to let this sink in. The aliens were starting to understand that humans controlled much more of the galaxy than they had pretended. Minho continued talking like a doctor reading medical results. No emotion, just facts. We also have detailed files on each of your government's secret security systems, weak points in your economies, and personal crimes by your leaders. Should I start with Trade Minister Corthal stealing money meant to help refugees, or would you prefer to hear about Defense Coordinator Zalmoth selling illegal weapons to terrorist groups? The council room became completely silent except for the quiet hum of recording machines that were capturing everything. Trade Minister Corthal's reptilian face went pale. How could you possibly know about? We know about all of it, Kim Hannah interrupted, looking at her tablet. Your secret accounts on Rigel 7. The bribes you took from mining companies. The weapons deals you made behind the hegemony's back. Every single crime, Minister. Defense Coordinator Zalmotha's crystal body stopped glowing entirely. This is impossible. Our security is perfect. Colonel Choi made a sound that might have been laughter, but it was not funny. Your security has more holes than a fishing net. We have been watching all of you for years. The other aliens started looking scared. Cultural Minister Yulpara's butterfly wings shook. Economic Advisor Felnix's brain ball started glowing with stress patterns. Minho's voice stayed calm and conversational, but everyone could hear the danger underneath. You see, humanity has been working under what we call diplomatic protocols. We like cooperation, mutual respect, and solving problems peacefully. But liking these things is not the same as being limited by them. They are choices we make. He made a gesture to Colonel Choi, who stepped forward with perfect military movement. Suddenly, all the other human guards moved too. The council members finally understood that these were not ceremony guards for show. They were special forces soldiers who could end this meeting in about 4 to 7 different deadly ways. The human security team spread out around the room with professional skill. They moved like they had done this 1,000 times before. Each one took a position where they could see everything and react to any threat. Choices, Minho said again, that we can change our minds about. Prime Counselor Vexthara tried to speak but his voice cracked. Surely we can discuss this like civilized beings. Civilized? Park Jizu looked up from her tablet with cold eyes. You called our dead children space dust. You laughed about murdered families. Is that your idea of civilized? The temperature in the room felt like it dropped even more. Some aliens started sweating or showing other signs of fear. Cultural attaché Mordun whispered, we meant no real offense. No real offense. Colonel Choi's voice cut through the room like a blade. You spent 3 days insulting our species, our culture, our people, and our dead. What exactly did you mean? Kim Hannah started reading from her tablet in a mechanical voice. Proposal 1. Humanity provides 90% of agricultural output in exchange for basic manufacturing templates. Proposal 2. Human colonies provide manual labor for alien mining operations. Proposal 3. Human military forces serve as auxiliary troops under alien command. She looked up at the council. These proposals would make humanity slaves. Did you think we would not notice? The aliens had no answer. They had been caught completely off guard. Ambassador Lee Minho looked around the room at each alien face. The diplomatic phase of our relationship is now over. It is time to discuss new arrangements based on reality instead of your fantasies about human weakness. The council members realized they had made a terrible mistake. They had poked a sleeping giant while thinking it was a harmless pet. The emergency break lasted exactly 1 hour and 37 minutes. When the Galactic Council came back together, everything had changed completely. Ambassador Lee Minho walked back into the room with the same professional look, but now everyone knew there was steel hiding under his silk clothes. Park Jizu carried totally different papers. Kim Hannah's smile had become warm again, but her eyes stayed sharp like laser knives. Honored council members, Minho said, humanity would like to show you our new terms for working together in the galaxy. The new terms were fair and equal, but they could not be argued with. Trade deals that helped everyone based on real market prices. Defense agreements that recognized humanity's true military power. Cultural exchange programs that respected human independence. The aliens read through the papers with growing shock. These were not the weak surrender terms they had expected to force on humanity. These were the demands of equals. Prime Counselor Vexthara's voice was much quieter than before. These terms are, we can accept them. Trade Minister Korthal had not looked at any human directly since the break. He simply nodded yes without speaking. Defense Coordinator Zalmotha's crystal body was dim as he signed his name. The hegemony agrees to these mutual defense arrangements. Cultural Minister Yulpara folded her butterfly wings close to her body as she approved the cultural exchange programs. These seem reasonable. Economic Advisor Felnix's brain bowl glowed with stress as he agreed to the fair trade ratios. There would be no more stealing from human colonies. Within 6 hours, news of the completely changed negotiations had spread across all space communication networks. The harmless humans had not only refused to surrender, but had shown that everyone's ideas about Earth were dangerously wrong. Species across the galaxy started getting emergency reports. Human military strength, previously unknown, actually massive. Human industrial capacity, far exceeds all estimates. Human intelligence networks, extensive penetration of all major governments. As the formal signing ceremony ended, Ambassador Lee Minho put back on his pleasant diplomatic face. But every member of the Galactic Council now understood that humanity's politeness was not weakness. It was a choice made by beings who could do much less diplomatic things if they wanted to. The signing took place in the same crystal chamber where the aliens had spent days insulting humans. Now those same aliens signed papers that treated humans as equals. Some of them shook as they wrote their names. Prime Counselor Vexthara stood up with his 4 arms held carefully neutral. The Galactic Council welcomes humanity as a full partner in galactic civilization. His voice had none of the arrogance from before. He sounded like someone who had learned not to poke sleeping giants. Trade Minister Korthal finally looked at the human delegation, but only for a second. The hegemony looks forward to profitable cooperation with Terra. Colonel Choi and his security team stood at attention during the ceremony. They looked like honor guards again, but now everyone knew what they really were. The aliens kept glancing at them nervously. Park Jizu organized all the signed papers with efficient movements. Kim Hannah calculated the new trade numbers that would actually benefit humanity instead of enslaving it. After all the signatures were complete, Ambassador Lee Minho stood to address the council one final time. His genuine smile returned to his face. We look forward to a long and helpful relationship with all member species. Thank you for helping us understand the true nature of galactic diplomacy. The message was perfectly clear to everyone in the room. Humanity had been playing by polite rules that no longer applied. They had asked nicely for respect and been told no. Now they would take what they had earned through their own strength. The galaxy would need time to get used to this new reality. Humanity, it turned out, did not just deserve a seat at the galactic table. They had been strong enough to flip that table over all along. They had simply chosen not to, preferring the civilized approach of talking and mutual respect. But as every species with any survival sense quickly realized, politeness given by choice was much more dangerous than aggression born from desperation. News spread fast across space. Humans reveal true military strength. Terra Defense Force massively larger than reported. Human industrial capacity exceeds VREX Consortium. Human intelligence networks penetrate all major governments. Other species started re-evaluating their own relationships with humanity. Were the humans watching them too? Did they have secret files on everyone? How many other things had humans been politely not mentioning? Within days, ambassadors from dozens of species requested meetings with human representatives. Everyone wanted to make sure they were on good terms with this newly revealed power. The Galactic Council chamber felt different now. When humans walked in, other species showed real respect instead of fake tolerance. When human ambassadors spoke, everyone listened carefully. Ambassador Lee Minho's final act before leaving was to visit the memorial wall where names of beings lost to violence were recorded. He personally added the names of every human civilian killed in the Kepler 442 colony attack. "We do not forget," he said quietly to himself as he touched each name on the crystal wall. Behind him, alien diplomats watched and finally understood. Humanity's politeness had not been weakness. It had been a gift that could be taken away. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was not prey to be hunted or pets to be controlled. They were equals who chose to be polite, and that choice made them more dangerous than any species that was merely aggressive. The Council had wanted to see humanity's true nature. They had gotten their wish, and now they would live with the consequences.